are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay! Yeah! Yeah!
B to the R, O to the B, coming at you with the funny random rambling, talking about all the things that'll make that rain day sunny. Yeah, it's hot and popping, fireball dropping, come get your laugh on. Yeah, that's the concept, you know he be rocking, robbing the facts and all of the gossip. It don't matter where you are or who you with, you gotta tune right in. Bring your girl into your girl to bring your friends, be Robbie lit. Tune in your crib, in your whip, at your job. He got new shows every Sunday.
Here we go.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you oh so much for giving my show a try. And if anybody referred you to me, give them a high five or whatever. If you're in the vicinity, if you at your house chilling, watching Netflix or whatever it is that you're doing on this evening, whenever you're listening to this, or morning, or whatever the case may be, it is what it is. This show says it all in the title: Random Ramblings with Rob. I think about a year ago, I shortened it down to the 3R show. And since then, it went from being one podcast to now being spread out through 3 and maybe a half if you count the Lemur app, which you all should be using on Android and iOS. But within the 3 years almost in January that I've been doing podcasting, I've been branched off into 3 different shows with, their own thing, their own premise. This is what it pretty much is, a random selection of guests that I have in here from different walks of life, backgrounds, professions, and whatnot. And the way I come across this guest that I have with me today is, being that the 3R show is branching out into its own different entities, it's going in separate ways in different genres of podcasting. I put out a tweet and I used the hashtag 3R brand. And me, usually when I use a hashtag, I usually, search on it after I use it or before I use it, because I want it to be unique to what I'm doing and everything. So I use this particular hashtag 3R brand because it pretty much is. And lo and behold, I come across a clothing line called 3R brand. And so I delve into it or whatever. I'm looking at all the photographs and everything, getting to know the designers, the people wearing the merch and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I didn't find anything else. So I tried to track it down to the source. Somebody had to make this stuff, because I was just seeing random pictures of different people wearing gear and everything, but I didn't know where it all started. So looking through, diving down that rabbit hole of Instagram and everything, I find the name. And I found his email, asked him to be on the show. And the same thing that I just told you, or how I got here, is the same thing I showed to him. And now we're here and we're going to talk proper like. So my guest this episode is Zachary of Zachzilla Designs. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
All right.
Yeah. But you intrigued me. I seen you had a brand that was specific to you, trying to, make your own thing. And that's kind of what we all do here. If you, whether you're podcasting, doing graphic design, different things that you have a interest in, you always try to give it your own unique spin. And, we all have a unique way of looking at things and marketing things and branding things. And that's what I came across when I found the 3R brand. My question to you was, because, as I said in the intro, I found this clothing line, this brand. I seen a little bit of like a launch party and everything through pictures and everything. And then I just seen it kind of trail off, and I didn't get anything else after a certain point. What was going on?
Well, so the way it started, if I can start from there.
Oh yeah, so, please.
3R stands for me, it stood for real, recognize real, which was always something. It was something that I would say to my friends, like when we were in college or whatever, like we were tight. Like my closest friend, we were always, in conversations with real, recognize real, or if we say something, to, the effect of, empowering each other, and it meant something to me, and I originally, because of my friend that I dealt with, like my friend that I came up with the idea with was. We both listened to, if you want to go all the way back, we listened to Joe Budden.
Yeah.
Joe Budden's his very first album, his self-titled album. And I think it's on the song 10 Minutes. And he said, real, recognize real, R. And that just always stuck with me. And, I just, since then, it's been implanted in my head, and I would just hold it as a motto type. And, so one of my friends, he decided to, back me on graphics or, a brand. Like I had thought about a brand before, but I never really wanted to go too far into it. I didn't know how to start a business, but he already started and he helped me out. And, so from there, I came up with t-shirt designs, but I had no brand name or anything like that. I didn't even know what my logo and things were. So I went through maybe like a week just writing out. I wrote out maybe 50 names, and and I had mentioned it to him at first, and he was like, that it's kind of different. He's like, try something else. But everything else, I just felt like was trying to be like a cool name, but it didn't mean anything to me. Yeah. And then I just stuck with my guns, and I was like, no, this is it. This is what I'm going with. And so I want to say I started it maybe in like 2013. So from then, like, I work for a clothing brand, so I, have some bit of insight with that. And I went to school for graphic design. So with that and me being into fashion and sneakers and all those type of things, I try to combine all those into one world. And so going with that and all the releases and things, I would just doing. It was my chance of being free and doing things. And basically, I just kept going, but everything was mine. So yeah, I designed, I sold, I shipped. I would pull up to people and, drop off if I needed to. I was doing events and I would have somebody might help me, and sometimes I would just be there by myself. Yeah. Which it begins to be a lot on you. And, a lot of money just gets invested, some money gets lost. And I had a friend, another friend of mine, two of them, they both helped me, in many ways. And, one did photography for me. He did all my photo shoots, my product shots. And if I had a new shirt, I'd contact him, like, hey, I just got these in. We need to shoot these. I got to upload them or whatever. And I would, do like 3 or 4 images and post them on Instagram for sale, and have people contacting me through email at first. And then I got a website. But basically, it ended up slowing down maybe about 2 years ago. And from there, I got overwhelmed with a lot. Like I was doing that, and like I said, I went to school for graphic art, so I got divided with designing T-shirts, spending money on T-shirts that aren't selling as much because people are all trying to start their own thing at that time. And then I wanted to do artwork for myself instead of just always trying to do something for other people, which I was chasing if this item would sell, like, oh, this one might sell, instead of just doing what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm, I can get that.
Yeah. And then, so I was doing artwork for myself, and then doing, freelance graphic design. Like went back into doing that, like logos for other people in the middle of all that. And so like I started. So that was still kind of under 3R brand. So technically, it's not really dead. It's just I haven't gone back and done anything else with it.
You just kind of shift the focus. I got you.
Yeah, basically that's what happened. The focus shifted, and it's just in another realm right now, and I can come back to it. And but yeah, like I just shifted from there. Started doing artwork. Just started doing other things. Like my life changed a little bit, and I just started doing things for myself a little bit more. Started from selling T-shirts to doing art shows and things like that, which my art base was, I'm into anime a lot. So
I can see that.
Yeah. So I would combine anime with streetwear and, combine that and put my focus of things that I'm into and, basically found out that a lot of other people liked it. And then they would ask me like, yo, you should do this character. You should do this character. And it was like, I was like, oh, okay. So this is really a thing. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then yeah, so now I have a little bit of me in everything. I split up and I'll come back around, but I'm doing a lot of different things at once. I'm just pretty much I don't even know how to call it, like people like scatterbrained or
yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about there. This whole podcast, like I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, and this is the longest, I would say, hobby that I've been doing consistently for as long as I can remember. I mean, I've always been a person to like, find interest in multiple things, but never really stuck to one thing to completion or, fully committed to one thing because I was interested in so many other things. And I felt like if I put all my time into this one thing, I'll be missing out on all this other stuff that I can be, dipping my toe in and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like,
I definitely understand.
Like back in the beginning when you was talking about, people approached you to maybe, you felt like somebody pushed you into the clothing thing rather than you finding it naturally or just, they kind of baited you with the idea like, hey man, I mean, you can make money doing this and whatnot. And yeah, eventually you do and you can. But I mean, like you're saying, from me listening to you speak for the past couple minutes or whatever, it's just like you wanted to do it, but not really do it.
I wouldn't say I was baited into it and like I didn't really want to do it. At that time, I didn't know anything about it as much. I didn't know as much as business was. So it was like, I mean, at some point in life, with anything, you're going to have to jump out in the water, and test it. And with that process, like I was learning as I was going, which that's the part that was difficult, and it was learning as I was going. And as far as like, dealing with money and your business, and it's like, all right, money, there's a line, I don't have anybody else to help me with this. It's figuring everything out on my own. And like now, from those years of doing that and, still doing business for myself as far as like design, like I'm still learning things on both sides. So it's the ways that I could do it now that are better than the way I started. So yeah, I wouldn't say I was baited and not fully in. I wasn't fully in. I was definitely afraid and not like I don't regret starting it. Yeah. I don't regret that, I'm thankful for, someone pushing me there because I don't think I ever would have took that leap if I didn't, if I didn't start somewhere. So that just, opened my eyes to like, all right, I can do something with this. I can do something like even with this skeleton of starting something. So now I'm not afraid to start somewhere else. Like,
okay. Yeah. I can totally relate to that. It was just fear of the unknown for me as well, starting this podcast. Cause I listened, look at me, listening, Sunny listening. I used to listen to, well, I still do. I listen to a lot of them, and I enjoyed the conversation that the people were having. It sounded like a group of friends just hanging out and, just bullshitting. And I was like, I could do that. But, it took me almost the better part of a year to actually set up and pull the trigger on actually putting my voice through a microphone and, putting it out for the world to listen. Because I believe a lot of fear with me was like, what would I talk about? And then, you know, if I put myself out there, you know, I mean, the whole world can hear this shit. I mean, I'm opening myself up to a lot of criticism and scrutiny and all kind of stuff like that. But I mean, I'm still here. Over 150 episodes, and you know what I mean,
man, that's a blessing right there.
Yeah, I just don't feel like it's going to slow down anytime soon. But back to your graphical design skills. I see your weapon of choice here is Photoshop.
Yeah, I use Photoshop, a little bit of Illustrator, and I use Sketchbook Pro, which is a program on the iPad.
Oh, do you have the new iPad, the iPad Pro?
I have the iPad Pro. I'm not sure what year it is. Maybe like a 2016 model. I think so.
I tell you what, I mean, I drew a lot when I was a kid, but I mean, I didn't like, back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, I had so many interests in so many things. However, I never really stuck with the drawing aspect of stuff. But now, you know, as an adult and everything, because of the podcast, I look back toward drawing my own designs and graphic design and whatnot. Because I've been fucking with Photoshop since freaking CS3. So I've been playing around with it ever since then and everything. So I'm familiar with it, and it's just been a shift from actually using a computer, because I had good computers at the time, but moving from place to place in the military and deployments and all kind of stuff, it went to crap. And then getting a family, you know, you can't just go out and splurge on this high end computer anymore. So I've just been, you know, piecemealing laptops together and using that. So that's not really conducive to the Photoshop program, because I mean, it uses up a lot of space and memory and everything. So what I've been doing to facilitate my need to draw and illustrate is the new iPad Pro. I got the one that they were selling for like $379. That was compatible with the pencil. I think like the 9.7 inch. Yep. And I downloaded Adobe Draw, and man, I was just like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, man. So, you know, it's a few of them. Sketchbook Pro gives you like a lot of different brushes, and it's compatible with Photoshop. So it's like you can take an image and before once I started doing the anime images that I was doing before, it would take me like a couple days to finish a piece, maybe sometimes a week, because of all the time of going back and forth of drawing. I would draw it out on paper, and then scan it in, and then connect lines and things like that, and then color it in and there. And so taking all of those things, it just took so much time. And but I got the iPad, and I could just do everything from there and then upload it into Photoshop. And I could actually work. It's basically like working on Photoshop from your computer. Yeah. Because it also had there's another thing called AstroPad, which basically turns your iPad into a separate monitor.
Oh shit! I'm about to download that right now. What you said that was?
AstroPad. Right. It's life changing, man. It's life changing. So it's like, if you're working on Photoshop on your desktop or MacBook, whatever, any type of computer that you're on, you download AstroPad onto your iPad and onto your computer, and basically it can connect wirelessly or it connects with the USB. And when it connects, but it is definitely a cleaner, faster connection with the USB, the lightning cable. And but yeah, you can draw with your pencil on the screen right there, and it transfers it straight there. You can see exactly what you're doing.
Oh shit! And, I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, man, it'll change it. It'll change everything if that's what you're doing, And because I started out been drawing since I was I don't even know, maybe preschool, and then I picked up I started doing Illustrator and Photoshop, in high school. So I was using CS2.
Yeah.
And and then I just, from there I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do this on the computer. And then that's when I decided to go into school with that as my major. So, and continue getting my pencil and drawings better, and then trying to balance both, which is rare nowadays, actually, because there's a lot of people that are good in both sides, and then there's a lot of up and comers, like they really just use Photoshop or Illustrator, but they don't really know the basics of the pencil, which you can do Photoshop and Illustrator without it, but it's something a little bit different. Like your creativity is there. Some people use it a little bit. They go for the wow factors of like loud fonts and a lot of effects. They start throwing all the effects on one thing at one time instead of just, making something aesthetically pleasing. Like, so it's easier on the eyes. Like, but it is. So just learning all that stuff, you just catch it as you keep going.
I'm in a weird place right now because all I used to know was a desktop computer. That's what I started with when I was messing around with Photoshop and everything. It was a desktop computer. And then, as laptops got a little more advanced and high end, they can handle Photoshop better. And, that made the workload portable and everything. So I used to jostle back and forth between laptop and desktop. And then, now, I do majority of my work on a laptop because like how I was saying earlier, you can't just go splurge on a nice ass desktop. But then, I found the iPad and the pencil, and now is more how much can I do on this iPad vice sitting in front of the laptop now. So I would rather
much more now.
Yeah. I would rather have a desktop, but given the flexibility and everything of this tablet, man, it's just, I can do video editing on this thing, which I have done. I can, they coming out with a full version of Photoshop for the tablets here pretty soon. Yeah. And then I've been using like, Affinity, Photo and Affinity Designer, which is like pretty much like Photoshop and Illustrator, and, Procreate, which is freaking awesome. So I would start everything in Adobe Draw with like my line work and my basic sketch, and then I would take it into Procreate because they all talk to each other, and I would just that's where I would do my blending and everything, like the freaking shadows and the highlights and the cheekbones and all the other crazy stuff in there. And
that's actually the one I used. I think I said Sketchbook Pro, but it's actually Procreate, because I know that Sketchbook Pro is one too, but it's Procreate that I was using, not Sketchbook Pro.
Yeah, Procreate is freaking crazy. Awesome. Yeah, because just like if somebody has jewelry on, they have like a special light brush that you could use to give it like that bling and the light sparkling off of it and everything. I was like, man, this is freaking amazing.
So many textures, different brushes and there's a lot of brushes and stuff you can upload into Procreate. Like you can buy separate brushes, like say that don't work on Photoshop, but you can take your Photoshop file into Procreate and use those brushes there.
See, and that's why I'm more stuck on this tablet, because all this stuff just fits right here. I just download it from the App Store. I throw a couple bucks at it and boom, just
right there.
Couple presses and it's all there. But what I've been missing from my desktop and everything is just I feel more comfortable doing Photoshop on that vice with the pen on the tablet and everything. But I feel like it's just I need more practice because I haven't really done a Photoshop program. Project in a long time. It's just because I'm used to the keyboard too. I love using the keyboard functions and all that stuff. But I can get a keyboard for this tablet, but them shits is $159. I was like, fuck that.
I can't do that. I can't. I can't work with the keyboard and tablet. I just use my computer because I actually work on. I use both. Like if it's something as far as shading and stuff like that, I'll use the pen and take it into Procreate. If it's like, lining text up and, other smaller things like lighting and things like that, I'll mess with on the keyboard and using it because I still love the keyboard shortcuts and things like that. And So I kind of jump around between both. And then it's just like a best of both worlds pretty much.
Yeah, because I mean, you just introduced me to that that Astro Pad. Whenever I can get a desktop, I mean, I know I'm gonna be volleyballing between both of these two things.
Yeah, you definitely will.
I mean, from way back when you was talking about, you first started drawing and everything, and we just already covered a whole bunch of changes in technology and, the ease of use of a lot of stuff. I mean, how do you feel that's helped you creatively thus far?
You talking about as far as the technology, like changing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I'll say, I honestly do not use pencil and paper as much. Mm-hmm. But, cause I was taking classes and stuff in school and, college. And that was probably the last time I was like really, really heavy with the pencil, and my, skill set was a lot stronger. And then, after I graduated, I didn't draw as much, and I was just strictly using the computer and like doing simple things on there. And, so that's kind of actually how I went back to doing the anime pieces, by drawing and transferring back to the computer to get my pencil back, getting that skill set back. But, it makes everything a lot faster now than what I was doing before, like I said. And, it just makes it, it's almost the same, like in a way you can make, cause you can make everything almost is simulated to paper now.
Yeah.
Like they have different, screen protectors for iPads now, like if you have the pencil, and like, so the biggest thing for me, which was annoying and hard to adjust at first, which it was kind of discouraging about using the pencil on the iPad screen, because the pencil just glides on that screen.
It doesn't have like that rough feedback to it. Yeah.
So, and your lines would, whatever direction that pencil going, that mark is wavy, that line is wavy. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I had to clean up the lines a lot, like, cause I don't have a steady hand. My hand shakes a little bit. So, I ended up I just found out about it recently, actually, maybe a couple months ago. There's like they have these matte screen protectors where it actually, the pencil doesn't move as much. So it's almost like using paper.
Oh, shit.
And then they do have one that's a little bit more rougher than that. I think it costs a little bit more, but they said that one just wears the pencil tip down. But the one, I can't remember what it was. It's like Tech Armor, it's like a matte screen protector. But I got that and it changed. It made me start drawing a little bit more back on the iPad again. And, but there's still nothing like drawing on paper. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like feeling the pencil on paper. If you used to draw on paper, you're still going to love that. So, but as far as doing the digital art and transferring, it's a lot simpler, 10 times faster to do those things. So I think, as far as technology is going, it's moving in a more helpful way than hurtful. So it's just, keeping up with the time and trying to adjust. And some things are better. Some things is, everyone has their ways of which ones work better for them.
Now, what you was talking about earlier, I kind of relate on a smaller level because I didn't do a lot of freelance stuff or whatever, but I've dealt with a lot of freelance-ish situations. Be like, hey man, I got this idea. Could you do this for me, or give me an idea of what it looked like? And so you go into your notepad or your freaking laptop or whatever you're using to come up with your idea and everything based on what they gave you. And you just do like a rough sketch or, a design or whatever. And you bring it to them and you be like, man, this shit is, this is just a basic design. I mean, this is not, and they be like, oh dog, that's tight. That's exactly what I wanted. And I'm just like, I didn't even shade this shit in or nothing. I mean, it's just what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that, because you're an artist. I mean, I can tell just by the way you're talking about things. It's just like, I mean, you have your own level of, you know, what you feel things should be. And then when somebody kind of, I guess, lowball you, for lack of a better term, you're just like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah, man. The freelance thing, in the beginning, it's, you know, you start, well, for me, I started thinking of it as, all right, it's all pay for me. Like, it was like, you know, because as far as t-shirts go, it's like, all right, you got to pay this much for the t-shirt, you got to pay the printer, you got to pay the ship, boom, boom, boom. Graphic design, it's like, all right, this person gives you the money, and you just give them digital art. There's no money you have to put into it except for the products that you're using. But to what you're saying, as far as like dealing with the people, I've had people come to me and say, you know, I want, for an example, let's say someone said I want a burger with a king with a crown on top, like Burger King or something, right? And I'll draw a whole burger and put a, you know, crown or something. And then they're like, no, I want it more simple than that. Like, and they'll give me like their sketch, and I'm like, okay, I can do this, but it's like, is that what you really want? And then, so I'll give them that option and the other one, and they'll still choose the simpler one or the other one. And I'm like, at first I was like, but you're going to show this, and people are going, and you're going to say that I did this, but that doesn't even look like my work. It looks like a lower grade of what I'm doing. But it's like, you know, you give people what they want, and I do give people what they want, and you have to tell them, as long as you're communicating with them. That's the thing. That's the main thing, is like communicating with them. And, you know, so you're not overdoing work. Because sometimes they're like, no, that's really, I wanted that. And you're like, are you sure? And they're like, no, that's what I wanted. Yeah. And that's where it's like, you don't want to be, you know, trying to read their mind about it. You want to just like get as clear of a picture as possible. Like, I'll tell them, give me, if you know what you want, send me your images and references of what you want, and we can go from there. Like, tell me exactly, give me the specifics, so I'm not, because the main problem is they'll say, I want a cat with a gun in his hand and blah blah blah, and I want him to look like Garfield. You draw it, and then they're like, I was actually thinking Heathcliff, and it's like, you told me Garfield. You know what I'm saying?
You got your cats mixed up, damn it.
Exactly. But, you know, as long as you just got to make them clarify. And then also, it's, you know, going into, like I said, learning from business, it's like, all right, well, you want to keep changing, you're going to pay for these extra changes. Yeah. And you just start, you know, learning and adjusting to the business.
The biggest critic that I've had, you know, the one that I've dealt with the most in those situations that we just spoke about, is my wife. So cause like, you know, you do stuff for you sometimes. You just, you know, you feel creative. You got something in your mind that you got to get out. So, I mean, you work on it, you know, day in, day out or whatever, till you get it the way you envisioned it in your mind. And, you know, I do that sometimes. I take, images of myself and superimpose them in, you know, different, you know, environments or whatever. I'm a wrestling fan. So I took, a cover of a DVD that had Seth Rollins and Randy Orton on the front. You know, he was giving him a wrestling move. I photoshopped Randy Orton out and put me in his place and shit, you know, and I took a lot of time to do that shit and get it right the way I wanted. I'm actually laying out on the couch doing the move with a green tarp, you know, so I can green screen the shit out later and everything. And then, my wife, she writes, so, you know, she'll have an idea for a story, and she want me to build freaking cover art for the book based around her idea. Right. Well, a lot of the time she only have a rough idea. And you know, if somebody give you a piece or something, I mean, that's not really a lot to go on. Yep. So I try to put something together the best I can based on what she gave me. And she's like, nah, that's just not like, it's not popping enough. I mean, I mean, well, shit, you just said it was a guy and a girl and they had a bad relationship. What the fuck I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, man. That's where it's kind of like the criticism. It has a fine line because you start taking things personal. Yeah. And you're like, hold on, man. I spent a lot of time on that, and you just, shit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just took your time and you just act like I just did this in 10 minutes. No, I spent my time on this and da 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 da. And yeah, some people just don't understand. Like, and then also the other part is like, I know as far as your wife, yeah, you're doing that, because that's your wife.
Yeah.
And as far as like dealing with someone that's paying for it and whatnot, like, and it becomes a lot, man. They're just like, they try to lowball you on payments.
Oh yeah.
Like, they're like, you tell them your price, and they're like, really? It costs that much? They're like, but this person does. Don't tell me how much that person does.
Do you go see that motherfucker then?
Yeah, you can go to that motherfucker. You can go waste his time, but you're not gonna waste my. I know how much my time is worth. I know what all this is gonna do. I prepare for the back and forth, the editing, the random thoughts of I don't know what to do. What do you think I should do? What do you mean? What should I do? What should you do for this? Which one should you go for? It's not my business. This is your business. I'm giving you the options of what you asked for.
Yeah. Oh man. What was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. She can't, and is the opposite end for us too as well. I mean, she get on me about that shit. She's like, well, you did that fly ass shit for you. You can't get this shit right for me. But she writes and everything. She does stories, and I'm like, you should write a story about this. She's like, you should write a story about this. She said, why don't you fucking write the story? I'm like, well, fine. I'll do it myself. And I go get the Infinity Gauntlet like Thanos and shit and do it myself. And then I don't finish it. Then I just go back to podcasting where I'm more comfortable.
It goes like that sometimes.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's just, I kind of feel the same way with anybody that's creative. I just like making my own shit. I don't want to rely on other people too much.
Right.
So like if I want something and, if I can do it myself, especially that way, it's more cost effective on you if you're trying to run a business too. So
exactly. Try to cut all those corners as much as possible.
Hell yeah. But I mean, I see, I'm looking through your window here, is what we call Instagram and whatnot. And man, you do a lot of running. I can't, get behind that too much because I was forced to do it for 16 years in the military or whatever.
Got you. Yeah. Well, crazy story. Like, I started running like, maybe like middle school, first time I joined the track team. And I thought I liked, track and field so much. And from track, I ran from middle school to high school, and my goal was to be a sprinter. And so anything back then, 800 meters was 2 laps, and I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got in college, I was still running. I do like to run, and it's just, it's peaceful for me. It's like therapeutic. It's calming, and I like the way I feel afterwards. And funny thing is, back before we had like the GPS trackers and stuff like that on our shoes and stuff like that, Nike had the run, before they had the run app. Mm-hmm. I was at my parents' house, and I would run like on Saturday mornings in the summertime. I would run from their house to my old high school and back. I didn't know what the distance was. I'm thinking it's like a mile, and Nike came out with the Nike Run Plus, the Nike Plus, the little pedometer thing.
Yeah, stick in your shoe and shit.
Yep. Put that in the shoe one day and downloaded the app and did the same thing. I ran to the school, did a sprint or something around the track, and ran back home. Got back home and looked at the thing, and it told me I did 3 miles. Never had I ran 3. I didn't think I was running 3 miles, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." So from there, I would just keep doing 3 miles and just running a little distance, and then I got bored with it. So I started, well, if I can do 3 miles, I think I can go a little bit further. And I'm the type of person that I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So I have to change it somehow. Whether it's, if I run one way, I'm going to run it backwards the next time. Like I run it a different route, I'll go, find some way else to make it different for me. So my viewpoint is the same. I hate treadmills.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. It's the same view.
I hate them shits too.
Yeah, man, you're not going anywhere. Like I don't even understand like how people are like, well, you can do it in front of the TV. Like, no, the TV's not going anywhere. It's still right in front of me. It's still surrounded by the same things. But yeah, so I just started challenging myself, and then maybe like somebody planted it. I feel like somebody planted it in my head a couple years ago, and said something about running a race or something. And I will always shoot it down like, I don't want to run a race. I just run it for fun. Mm-hmm. Like, and then I just kept running one time, and I ended up getting up to like I just signed up for a half marathon. Mm-hmm. Like maybe my first one was in either 2016 or 2015, something like that. And so I signed up for it. I had never ran 13 miles. Mm-hmm. And so I think at that time, the furthest I ran was maybe like 5 or 6. And so from that point, I was like, all right, well, I know what I need to train for. I know what I need to get to. I need to get to 13 miles. And so I just kept running, just kept going. Like I was running a lot of miles throughout the week, like maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And then at some point it just clicked, and it was just, my body wasn't getting tired as fast.
Yeah.
And it just wanted more. So I just kept going further. And in the middle of me training for 13 miles, I think I ended up doing like 15 as the furthest. And I ran the first, they had this race out here called the Shamrock. And it was my first time running it. The weather was terrible. It was 38 degrees in March, and it was raining. And but I did well with it. And then from that point, I just kept going further. And I did up to, I think the furthest I got was, I did 21. Did 21 miles. I want to say it was like the end of 2017 going into next year, to this year. It was 2017. But I ended up hurting myself, and like, because I was going to go try to do a full.
And that's why you don't run.
So I ended up hurting myself. Yeah. And didn't get to that full. But also it was because I wasn't doing anything. I didn't do a whole lot of, like, I don't do bench press. I don't do like heavy machines and stuff like that. And I wasn't strengthening my body. I was just doing a whole lot of running. So I was losing a lot of weight and just getting skinny. So my bones weren't, as strong as they were. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up having to take like 3 months off. And then after that, basically it was recovery. And now I'm in the world of kickboxing and stuff like that. So it just ended up being another gym of strengthening. I had to find another form of cardio to strengthen my body. Yeah. So running is like one of my favorite pastimes. It's just something I'm really passionate about. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it until my body just says, hey, you need to chill out. Yeah.
See, I'm looking through your post here as far as your your run times and everything. You were speaking earlier how you get bored of you run backwards sometimes. It looks like you're going up hills and doing all kind of other stuff too. You can definitely tell when you get bored, because I can see your 3 mile, being low, probably around 18, 19 minutes, which is, for us, a perfect score of 300 on our PFT is 20 pull-ups, 100 crunches, and 18 minutes on a 3 mile run. So I know right around 18, 19 minutes is probably, for somebody that's in really good shape is, good for a 3 mile. And that's what you're hovering around, on the day you're not bored, from what I can see from what you post on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm looking at your half marathon run too, and that was like a hour and 47 minutes. That's damn good too.
Yeah, man, that was. Well, I think the first one I think was an hour and 47, I think
well, no, the one I'm looking at right now is an hour and 36 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, and then those times do stick with me because I'll remember what I did, and so.
Yeah, the one for an hour 36, you actually got medals for that one, and then the one for an hour 47 is a different one. It's just, I think you just did that one for fun.
Oh, yeah. I think that might have been. It's probably within a week of each other, so I think that was probably the last one I ran right before the race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you on the race with the ones with the medals, you shit about a good 10 minutes off the time.
Yeah, man. And that's the other thing. It's like when you're running with yourself, it's nothing but you. It's like you're your own competition. So, and that's the other thing. I'm pretty competitive when it comes to sports. And as much as I would like to run past everybody, I know that that's not physically possible because it's people.
I tell you what. See, you talking about this half marathon. I'm looking at your stats here and everything. I ran a half marathon once, and I was goaded into it. I was baited into it, and it wasn't so much like somebody was actively, pushing me to do it. It's like I couldn't let that shit slide because somebody, we were the same rank, both in leadership positions. But I did more work. I put in the time after hours, to train and do other stuff besides, the normal workload of the day. Right. And this dude did like the normal workload of the day and just kind of vegged out. And, he was a chubby motherfucker and everything. And he was like, man, I'm going to go run the half marathon on such and such a day. And I was like, fuck. Cause I had no intention of running that motherfucker. But if his big ass was out there going to run it, I know I had to be out there to go run it. So, I mean, it's the same thing, man. I was always doing the prep, running 3 miles, 5 miles. I think the most that I ran before the actual race was like 8 or 9 miles or whatever. And then I had people with me. So it's like when you have somebody that's not on the level as you physically, it's easier to like, I think, to handle a run. So like, I know I can do, at the time, I could do a 3 mile run in anywhere between 1830 to 1930 within that window. And, there was other people who couldn't do that. So like I'm jetting off and then, I find myself slowing my pace down so I can go back and round up with them and, kind of keep pace with them. Then I take off again and I come back. When you're doing that, I mean, you actually, getting a little bit of rest in between because you running with somebody else. You got an anchor holding you back a little bit. Right. But damn, like you were saying, man, I got up there, I got on the line, they shot the gun, bow, took off. And, I did some 5Ks in between to, to prep myself. But, we get to the half marathon. I'm running. First of all, first fuck up. This is how they bamboozled us. Instead of being 13.1, it wound up being 14 something because they didn't have the staff out there at the first fucking turn point to tell us to turn. So we ran further than what we needed to run.
Wow.
So took off.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And, I'm running and it, like you said, man, you're feeling good. He was like, I got this. No problem. No problem. So around 9.5, it was a couple miles before the turnaround to come back. I could start feeling the blisters forming on my feet. And then, you start to get the shakes and the, freaking your lats start freaking getting heavy and everything from moving your arms back and forth. I was just like, fuck. And then I wasn't even at the halfway point yet. And I'm running. And what was killing me about this whole thing, the dude that came in first and the dude that came in second, 2 old ass dudes. One was like an old colonel, looked like he was on the verge of retiring. And then it was I never forget this. We in Afghanistan, dude. Summertime. This dude is out there in the desert running a half marathon for charity, which I'll add that, in a full Batman outfit.
Oh, that's disrespectful.
Cowl, cape, and everything.
Wow.
Running half marathon. He was like one of the second people to come in. And he looked like a superhero. He was just hauling ass, cape flapping in the wind and everything. Just.
Oh man.
So I make it to the halfway. They spray me with the water hose and shit. And damn, I'm coming back. I can feel the blisters getting bigger. Body starting to get tired and everything. And then I think there was like a actual stretch in there where I walked it for a little bit. But, you know, once I got my wind back, you know, I was hauling ass, and you know, it was better mentally for me because we ran extra on the way out. So I knew I didn't have to run that extra on the way in.
Got you.
And then, I get in, do my cool down circle and shit. Came in, I think at, 2 hours and 16 minutes. And I felt good because, I mean, that was good for me. I never done anything like that before. You know, I knew the limits of my body just then in that moment. But I beat that big motherfucker that goaded me into this shit.
Hey,
so,
man,
I mean, I didn't care about nobody else. Yeah, I didn't care about nobody else but him.
Yep. That's what it is. Like, and those, you gotta focus on one person. Like, you gotta focus on one person that's going like somewhere around where you at, because you start looking at people that's like way up a front, trying to catch them. You might catch them, right? Because they're already going fast. But then it's the person that's coming up behind you that you weren't thinking about. And they're like, you know, they're going with your pace. And then, because, yeah, somewhere in there, you're going to find somebody that's like, takes a little minute to find your range. And, because the first one, the one I said where I ran, like in a cold rain, there was a guy, he ran in I think it was a police officer or something, and he ran in a white shirt with some black text on the back. As long as I saw him, I knew I was good. I was like, all right, we are somewhere in the same area, so I'm good with you. And then, like, you know, you start running past like older women and some older men, and you're like, all right, man, I'm not losing to y'all. But then you start realizing that they're running so fast because they're not about to run this full 13. You see them pull off to the side, and then it's like a relay or something, and they swap out. And now you pissed because you just trying to run with this person, and they swapping out anyway. Yeah, man. It's just, so that first one got the kinks out. The other ones, now I know what to do. I got to stay my pace and, you know, just focus on what I'm trying to be at, and check my time every now and then if that's where I'm at. And sometimes it's like, all right, well, I think I can beat this time. And I also try to listen to my body, and it's like, all right, you got a little bit more in your tank. And then it's like, all right, no, you might need to slow it down some, because these people are not playing. They're going a little bit faster than what you would usually go.
Yeah, because I mean, there's the ones that are so freaking deceiving. It's just like, like you get that pace guy up there. He's like, all right, I see him up there in that white shirt. Then you get alongside of him. Then all of a sudden, pew, they gone. It's like, damn.
It's always one. It's always one like that.
And I hate them. Every last one of them.
Like, you'll see them and you try to pick it up, and then they try to pick it up too, and they just got a little more gas in the tank.
So, I mean, what I usually ask of people I get on the show or whatever, I mean, obviously you have some things in your head that you trying to express creatively, you know, here or whatever. But where would you like to be in the next 2 to 5 years, or whether it be with your brand or your artwork or whatever it is you're doing?
Well, as of right now, currently, I'm actually working to get be a certified personal trainer. So that's another new venture that I'm going for. So in the next, 2 to 5 years, hopefully I'll have my own gym. As of next year, I'm probably going to start doing, accepting clients for that. And yeah, I do want to continue to do freelance somewhat, maybe not as much, but I want to get back into doing artwork for myself again. Just do better things for myself and just take care and whatever keeps peace. I just want to keep bringing that.
For sure. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and wind it down right here. But before we go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
All right. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Zachzilla 3R. That's ZACHZILLA, the number 3, the letter R. And that's on Twitter and Instagram. And also, I'm working on a website for myself. I need to update it, but it's Zachzilla.co. And I will be adding prints from artwork and hopefully some merch and things like that to that as well.
For sure. Man, it was a pleasure to get you on here. I just followed you on Twitter. And it's good to pick your brain, man. Just sit down and chat with you for a little bit. I mean, and as with every guest that's been on this show, the door is open for you to come back for whatever reason, whether it's to promote your new gym, promoting your new gym, your new brand of art and clothing or whatever the case may be. You have the opportunity anytime to, just hit me up and we'll get on the show and chat about it, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you reaching out.
And that was my man, Zack from Zachzilla Designs. You can follow him on Instagram and solicit some of his services. He does some good art and, beyond other things. But it just goes to show you from the time that we spoke together or whatever, how, what you envision for yourself, may not end up the way you've always thought it would be. He started down one path and ended up somewhere else. And I think it's a lot to do with progression, learning what you're actually doing and exploring your creative potential, I would say. And anybody that does creative things, whether it be podcasting, drawing, filmmaking, whatever it is, if you put your all into it, you'll find that you'll get fulfillment out of it. And you'll also find other things within the thing that you love that you may, stumble upon as well. So, if you're out there and, I said it on, I think the last episode, if you have an interest in something right now, go ahead and try to pursue it. So, you never know where it'll take you. You don't have to go full bore. Just baby steps, whether it's creative writing, just, write a sentence or two every day or every other day. Write a paragraph, write a page worth, just do a little bit of a time, and just see where it takes you. That's all I'm saying. Never keep it contained within your mind, actualize it, bring it out into the world and see how you can shape and mold it into something. So, good example is what those good brothers and sisters are doing over there I can't talk Wrestle Addict Radio over there, the Rant with Ant brand and everything, and that is truly a brand. I see those guys represent and girls representing their thing everywhere they go, whether it be live events, their new social media platforms that they provide to you on Facebook, YouTube, and their website, Wrestle Addict, or rantwithant.com via Wrestle Addict. I'm fucking up all the stuff. Just go look up the Rant with Ant and you find everything that I'm trying to explain to you. God damn it. It's 2019, people. So those of you who subscribe to the yearly resolution, I hope you're keeping up with it and it takes you on through to the next year. And what I'm continually going to tell you is don't make resolutions. Try to be a better person every day. Try to be better in certain areas of your life every day. Don't just wait till the last minute or a new year roll around and you're like, oh, I'm going to try it this year. Oh, I'm going to try it this year. Nah, do that shit today. Do it now. Do it now. What are you waiting for? Do it now. As always, you can find me on Twitter at It's B-Rob. That's ITSBROB. If you want to talk professional wrestling and any other general shenanigans, that's the place you do it. This show also has a Twitter account. You can follow it on Twitter at 3R Show. And you can follow many of the other different podcasts that reside on randomrobcast.com, like the show me and my wife have, The Real Robinsons, to where you get a peek into the personal life of me and my wife and how our relationship came to be and how we got here almost 10, 11 years later. So you can follow that show on Twitter and Instagram at The Real Robinsons. That's DA Real Robinsons. And I'm about to record some episode of Wrestling is Trash. It's a professional wrestling podcast that I do to where, you know, we just talk about professional wrestling. I mean, we may talk about rumors. We may cover a pay-per-view or some significant wrestling event that may have came on the air. I know I might have said it in the first couple episodes of Wrestling is Trash that it's not going to be a review show, but when you talk about professional wrestling, it is going to be a review. So, you know, my takes have changed within the year or so. You know, I started it in late 2018, a couple months ago, and here it is 2019. See, that's that evolution that I was telling you about. You start something and you envision it being one thing and then wind up shaping and molding into something else. So we're going to be talking about probably Wrestle Kingdom or something like that here when we about to record in a couple minutes. And you can follow Wrestling is Trash on Twitter at Wrestling Be Trash, and you can find all the show episodes on wrestlingistrash.com. Speaking of websites, you can go to randomrobcast.com and find many different ways that you can help support the show, help it grow, whether it be in using Amazon links or donating equipment to the show via my Amazon wish list. You can buy merchandise through my merch store on wehavemerch.com. The links are on randomrobcast.com. And you can be a patron to the show, just like many others who support the Random Rounds with Rob monetarily each month for as little as $1. And you get a whole bunch of cool incentives and everything. So I would appreciate you if you tried those options that are available to you on randomrobcast.com. But hear me out. The most important way, the free way that you can support this show and any other podcast that you listen to is by liking, subscribing, retweeting, being interactive with the show, and writing those 5-star reviews. Hey, even if you put a 4-star or below, put them shits in there. And if you got anything 4 stars or lower, give us some constructive criticism. Give us some feedback. Let us know what we can do to help improve the show, or give us the opportunity to ignore you entirely and hoard all those goddamn reviews to ourselves. Oh, yeah. So stay tuned for some new episodes. I got some interesting people coming up. And if you heard however random that I found the guests for this episode, it's just the same way for the up and coming guests that are to follow. So thank you for joining me this edition, and I'll see you next time.